I wanted to show mugshots of my life. You know, this is what really happened to me on drugs. You know, it was mugshots from different cities, because when I did drugs, I traveled a lot of places. For me, a drug dealer, someone who sold drugs and ran the streets and shot guns, you know, I got shot and he spared my life. God spared my life is where I know I have a purpose. And like I said, at age 38, I started creating these comic books. So it's like I'm reliving this life, and I want to tell it, but I don't want to glorify the lifestyle. You know, that's something that I never do in my books. I tell the truth in my books, but it's not to glorify. It's to show the youth that this is real. This is my first comic book. This book here is called Graffiti Preschool Comics. It's a book for preschools, and it is a simple book really about these two kids. They go to school. Their whole goal is to go to school and get an education, and it's teaching them like basic things about brushing your teeth, you know, feeling good about education, you know, and it's telling my true story. It's telling my story about my friend. He used to come by the house, knock on my door, let's go to school. And I remember, I remember like walking to school, I would see beer bottles, cigarette butts. I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, a small city where a lot of gang violence, drug activity. My mother was poor. She was on food stamps, welfare as well. We lived in a very poverty neighborhood as well. I saw a lot of crime, and it was like me growing up in that type of environment. It was like right look wrong and wrong look right. And as a small child, my mother, I didn't have no dad, so my mother did the best she could on trying to raise me as a boy. But as I got older, I went to the streets for a role model, and the role model that I seen at a young age, I seen drug dealers selling drugs on the corners, and I didn't know if they was doing something right or wrong, but I did see like everybody like praised them. This is like, you know, me and my friend, he used to these drug dealers trying to entice kids to smoke weed, and my friend like telling me to watch out for certain things, you know, because, you know, he was more mature than I was as far as the street life. He was more aware. I wasn't. And, you know, like homeless people sleeping on the streets, and for me, it was like he explaining to me, what is this? I started selling drugs, breaking into houses, robbing and stealing. And at age 13, I got incarcerated for a crime, and I did, from 13 to 19, I was incarcerated. And while I was incarcerated, I used to draw a lot. That what kind of like made me do my time easy. I liked it to draw. I couldn't read, so that was where I found my peace, drawing cartoons. Once I got out, I didn't know that being incarcerated that long, that it affected my life until years later. It was like I became crippled. I didn't know how to feed myself, clothe myself. So when I got out, it was like I didn't know what to do in my life, so I went back to the streets. So as time went on, at age 21, I got into an altercation with gang members, as where it was a lot of shooting and drive-by shootings, and I got shot in my face, and I lost my right eye. And my friend, he got shot and he paralyzed on one side. And at that moment, I turned to drugs, hardcore drugs. I don't know what made me do it, but it was like I was at a low point in my life is where I started, you know, doing cocaine and heroin, and it numbed the pain that I was feeling. I finally found some people though that taught me how to get out of this hole that I was in. It's life, you know. That's all how I can express it. But the main thing that I love about life today is I'm free. You know, I don't have to do drugs to escape. I don't have to live that life, you know, being a slave to my addiction.